Are you looking for more out of your life? Do you need ideas on how to start new businesses and how to move forward in your own personal life? Well, guess what? You have come to the right radio show. At You Can Overcome Anything podcast show, you will learn and hear from many people from all walks of life who are sharing their challenges, their stories, the habits, and the mind shifts they had to overcome to become who they are today. On top, you will get a chance to connect and see how you can overcome anything by networking and learning about your next move through this radio show. I present to you our great speakers at You Can Overcome Anything podcast show with your host, Cesar Espino. Hello there, and welcome back to another episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. It is your host, Cesar Espino, and today I have a special guest. Her name is Edith B. Kiss. Is a holistic mentor, success habit coach, a number one best-selling author, Humanitarian Award winner, and international speaker. She specializes in guiding individuals from misery to peace within 30 days by integrating ancient healing techniques with neuroscience. Her joining from a 15-year career of petroleum engineer to holistic healing amplifies her commitment to transformation and personal growth. How are you today, Edith?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I love the fact that you've kind of done a whole switch, right, from being an engineer to now in this different thing you're doing, being a holistic specialist. But before we get into that, tell me a bit about your background. Tell me where are you originally from and how was your upbringing?
Yeah, so I'm from Hungary originally. So I grew up in a small town, and my mom was a teacher. She had like three diplomas in different areas of teaching, and my father was a driver, a chauffeur of a CEO, and he also was an entrepreneur. So he always had some side hustles besides that. So we had a really great life. So he loved traveling. So as a child, I traveled in a lot of countries in
Mhm.
Europe, like Greece or Turkey, Bulgaria, and Croatia and Germany. So we traveled a lot when I was a child, and then I always was fascinated about how different are, the options in different countries, especially that
Mhm.
we were in the communist era. So we had like one type of everything, literally. And
Yeah,
then when I traveled out, I was like, as a child, looking at like hundreds kinds of ice creams. It was like a dream come true. So I always loved travel, and then that's why I also during my adult life, I
Mhm.
also relocated very often, and then I picked also a career where I knew I can travel with. So travel was
Got you.
always my passion. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about it. Like when we grow up, we have this idea, right? We're always talking about as kids, like, hey, when I grow up, I want to be, a doctor. I want to be a police officer, an engineer. I want to be all of that. Did you ever wanted to be that, or, how did you come about choosing your career?
It's interesting because I was very fascinated about history and mythology and then
Hmm.
and also the travel geography. But I was thinking like if I'm gonna be a history teacher, I'm not gonna, have a good lifestyle. So
Yeah.
I was kind of consciously chose petroleum engineering to create, to have a better lifestyle, but also because of the travels and because
Yeah.
I had good analytical skills. So it was kind of given that my math
Mm.
and physics was strong. So I was like, okay, I need to be an engineer, even though I'm not that, intrigued about that, but because of the whole concept. And then eventually I really enjoyed it because it gave me like a boot camp lifestyle. I was kind of a tomboy with two brothers. So
Hmm.
I enjoyed that companionship and then the co-workers and then the traveling. So it was a good, passionate career for me for a while. But what happened is that when I started to have children, that's when
Hmm.
it's over like, okay, I want to spend more time with them. It's like I don't want a 9 to 5. And then I want more, yeah, it's just basically a much healthier lifestyle. And that's how I started to shift.
Got you. So, and that's awesome because I think even more so now, right? A lot of families want to spend time more with the kids versus before that was not the case. And we have the flexibility to work from home or do other things. How did you come about choosing was it a holistic mentor first or success habit coach? Like, how did you get involved with that stuff? Like, out of doing anything else? I mean, you could have been home selling something from online, right?
Yeah, actually, I was like when I quit my 9 to 5, eventually I became a contractor engineer. So when I was a
Gotcha.
contractor and working from home for a while, I was already searching into like e-commerce, like
Hmm.
trading, cryptocurrency, all kinds of stuff,
Yeah.
even real estate. But somehow nothing stick with me. Like I always felt like I'm not confident, or not just confident. It's like always felt off by doing those things. Like it was boring. It was
Hmm.
not in my heart, or it was stressful or whatever. So I feel like probably what I needed is more human connections, and feeling that actually people's due to my support is like changing their lives, and I can see it literally, like probably that's what I felt that I need. And because I also was suffering from panic attacks in my 20s and then also in my 30s, and then I couldn't overcome it for like, with energy healing or family constellation therapies. I tried a lot of things, and then I was still just managing it. But when I actually was introduced accidentally to a modality, which is a karma yoga healing, then I was able to hear my things, and then that was gave me the empowerment and encouragement. Like, wow, this is the thing I need to show to people. Like
Hmm.
they can actually heal from panic attacks. They can actually heal from other miseries, through these sessions, through this approach, and that's why I chose that path,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah. No, that's awesome. And so let's dive into that. I think many people face different things, different aspects. Whether it's a panic attack, whether it's a lot of different traumas. Within life. But let me ask you this: let's talk about panic attacks, 'cause I believe that's something very common. In today's society. Is that something that we can control, or is that something that it just comes about, right? But how do you like is that an emotion, or is that a feeling, or something that we're able to control through our thoughts, through the way we think of things or see things, through stress levels? Tell me more about that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So as I said, for decades, I didn't crack the code. I was
Hmm.
still like hit by it unexpectedly on unexpected places. And then I still couldn't figure out like, why is it coming? When is it coming? But then when I started to use certain techniques, and then I started to dive into the more like tools, and then I also was, like spending time on really healing myself, then I realized that certain actions can be already done to mitigate it, to lower the symptoms, and then eventually get rid of it. So that's what I was focusing on. And when a couple of years ago, a girl came to me, a 20 years old girl, and then she said like she's crying, she can't get out of the house, she's having constant panic attacks. And then basically she took medications before, but then she stopped, and then now she's not taking, but she's got worse. So anyway, what I started to do with her is basically first looking at her, what she's eating, then her
Mm.
nutrients, because I realized that it's very important to take, iron, to have a good iron level, magnesium, vitamin B. If she was actually a vegetarian, so and then she didn't know how to look into her nutrients, so she was lacking the iron because she wasn't eating meat, and so on and so forth. So first thing is what I do with people is asking them, what do you eat, what are your habits, like also sleep patterns. Some people is just like staying up late watching horror movies, and the next day they are surprised they have high anxiety. So
Hmm.
basically I mitigate that as well. That's why it's the success habit coach, because very often our mental illness symptoms could be really lower, like much better controlled, under control, if we actually fix our habits, which could be like quitting caffeine, or quitting alcohol, going to bed on time, and then eat healthy. If someone just switching those things, they will realize that their life is completely changing, and it's gonna become much more stressless and more peaceful, because the anxiety trigger, the reactions as an anxiety for the triggers is heightened when you are lacking all of those structure and
Yeah.
nutrients and all of those things.
Yeah.
So
No, I
that's
love.
that's the first, yeah, that's
Yeah.
the first thing which I actually communicate with them. Yeah.
Gotcha. So that's one of the things that you kind of go over, and I know, and that's huge. And again, sometimes we don't even think about those things, right? That it could be as simple as just maybe looking at your daily habits, your eating habits. How are you going about your day? Because I do know that sometimes I'll talk to people and they're like, I'm just I don't want to get out of bed, and I'm feeling stressed out, and I just don't have any energy, and and then I get these panic attacks, and I'm just miserable in my everyday life kind of thing, right? And so no, that makes a lot of sense. So, you've done a lot of different things, right? So you have the holistic mentorship. You're a success habit coach, number one best-selling author. What was your book about?
Yeah, so the how I got the number one best-selling author status, it was a co-authoring. Back
Okay,
in the days in COVID time, I was invited to a book which called actually One Habit for Entrepreneurial Success. So it was
nice,
already started the Habit kind of thing. So I was invited by Forbes Riley into this book, and we were like 150 people in the book. Can you imagine? I was there included, like Kevin Zorbo is in that book, and
yeah,
Paul Logan is in that book. So big names were in
yeah,
that book with me. And then that was the first time I actually wrote in a book, like I was a co-author. And then those chapters were in my mind for months before I was invited, and then I just
nice.
jumped in, and then they made a great marketing for it. We had lots of interviews, and then it's appeared in different places. So that's how I became a number one bestseller. And later I also published my own books. One book in 2022, which is called On the Healer's Journey, which
Mm,
I made for seekers who's looking for more guidance, who feels like they want to support people more, or they want to be maybe a light worker or healer, but they feel so dimmed. They feel like they are not accepted by their family members, and they're going through some heaviness. So I'm kind of like encouraging them, helping them, supporting them in that book, and giving them some guidance about it, how to basically embody their light. And
mm-hmm.
then later I also published last October, I published my latest book is The Gap Filler Success. So the
Love that.
gap filler success is simple steps to reach your goals. And in this book, I have actually two parts. The first part of the book is using techniques and implementable action plans when you are not necessarily be a spiritual person. You can be a very grounded person and just want to get some tools, some action plans, like how to actually strategies, how to actually reach my goals. That's my first part of the book. The second part of the book is for people who believe in law of attraction, manifestation,
Mm,
subconscious reprogramming, astrology, numerology, healing. So like all of those tools can actually speed up your manifestation. And
yeah.
that's why it's like a two part of the book, because that's how I went through my life. When I was an engineer, I wasn't that spiritual back then. I still reached many goals in my life, worked for the best companies, and I really were excited about my career growth. And basically there was that I put down the tools, like what steps I took, to get all of those great places. And then the second part is more like when I was growing through spirituality, and then I started to use all of these methods, and then healing, the past, and getting, releasing the past to reach your future goals faster. And also this book is full of my travel stories, because I told you I was traveling around the globe, I was living in different
Yeah.
countries. So in this book I also mentioned these stories.
I love it. I love that. Talking about healing the past, right? One of the best relationship advices that I can give people in regards to you, a relationship to you, is not to cheat on your future with your past, right? Because we are often, reminding ourselves about the past, and we're living in the past. So you're essentially cheating, in my opinion, on your own self, on your present and your future, because you hold on to the past. How does someone like you that has gone through a lot of work, done all these great things, because I'm sure that people, can relate to this, and they can see you as an example, be able to come out of any past experiences that were not serving you, such as, I know you've been through a divorce, or so you got divorced, all of that. Like, how do you even come out of that and still be able to make sure that you heal that part? And what do you do to heal that part to be able to move forward in your future?
Yes, it's absolutely. It's what I remember is that when you get, for example, you get into a new situation, and then you got triggered, and it's occupying your mind, and then you just can't think clear, because it's like you feel angry, you feel furious, or you feel like disappointed, or all of these things, because something just happened to you, right? And to make sure that you release that, to heal that, and you can move forward, again with happiness, with joy, and then compassion. You need to heal that part. So then you actually start the process from how I feel today. Okay, today I feel angry and disappointed because that person did this and that to me. Let's say last week. Some people carry all of this pain for weeks or months or years, with them.
Right.
But as soon as possible, it would be better as sooner as possible to release that, so then you can have the clarity, and then again the joy and the good feelings. So basically how I do that, that's what I learned at the source memory healing. And the source memory healing is a tool when you actually access your unconscious mind, because all your traumatic experience is buried in the unconscious. So when you are able to access the unconscious mind is going to show you the memories, which are actually the root of your current triggering, like your current
Mhm.
reactions to the triggers, right? So then you go into those memories and you release them, your negative emotions from that memories in a certain way. There's a guided way how to do that. And then you just completely shift the whole thing, and then you feel so easy, you feel so light, and then eventually you can just move forward. And it doesn't matter if it was a grief or it was a divorce, or or just feeling lost or confused. This always works. I was with clients, who, one of my clients, she went through, like, literally in, like, within a couple of months, she went through divorce, moving out to a new
Mm.
state in the US, also a grieving her mom. So it was like three big, and then she even had an accident. So there was like four things going on in her life, and then we were working on her past, healing it. And then, like, 1 year, fast forward to 1 year, now she's the happiest ever. She find a new relationship, they are moving in together, and she's just like, living her best life, right? So basically you can release this all. And then my one of my other recent clients was, she went through grief twice. She lost her brother and her nephew as well within a couple of years, and she didn't know what was wrong when she eventually get a heart stopping. Her heart stopped, she had to have a pacemaker, and the heart chakra is actually blocking from grief. So whoever
Wow.
is experiencing grief and carrying that grief with themselves, they're not releasing it, they are actually can have any kinds of illnesses around their heart chakra, which means like lung disease, lung cancer, breast cancer, heart disease, is all related to grief. So it's really important to acknowledge that we're not just healing these triggers or these negative emotions, we're not just healing it for feeling better, but we're healing it also to prevent diseases, on a long term.
Yeah. How can we as people, right? Obviously, there's the idea of, we're already in that place, so now I have to go see something like D to help me out, right? But before I get to that, like, obviously we want to be able to prevent. Is there any things that we can do before we get to a stage where, not necessarily saying it's too late, because I don't think it's never too late, as long as you identify it and go and get some help. But how do we get to the point where we can do something or not to prevent maybe some of those things from happening, or happening to a level where, they're too fast forward?
Yeah, so people think sometimes that if you are actually neglecting these negative emotions, or you just pick yourself up and then you say, I don't care what is my negative emotions, but I'm just gonna feel great. Let's say I'm dancing, I'm singing, I'm gonna go out, have fun, and I'm just shifting my negative emotions into positive because that's good for me. And then they are right. It's not toxic positivity as some people saying it. You can actually prevent these diseases happening to you if you are in a positive vibration, if you actually able to get out of the rabbit hole yourself and then just shine,
Mhm.
just basically
Right.
uh, feel great. You can feel great from little things, as I said, dancing, doing stuff. Just make sure you are having a high vibration, because then you are not blocking your chakras, your energy centers. They are blocking because you're feeling negative. You are in negative emotions. So don't sit with your pain. Don't sit unless you know how to release them, right? Because
Got
it's
it.
it's 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 against your well-being. So I just encourage people to feel good, to be happy, to pick themselves up. The other thing, how is the best to release certain things? Like, for example, you feel angry about someone, or you feel like betrayed, to forgive and let it go.
Mm.
It's not justifying them, or what they've done to you, but it's saving you. It's saving your life to forgive to others and let
Yeah.
it go.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that. I have something here in my notes too that I wanted you to kind of go more into detail. And kind of going back to this, which it goes back to what we're talking about the topic right now, right? And you said you can reinvent yourself several times. Just make sure you have a supportive environment, right? So, tell me a little bit about more about that because I do believe that. I do believe that you can lose everything, right? I mean, really, you can lose your significant other, you can lose your job, you can lose your house, you can literally be on the streets. But as long as you still have life, you can reinvent yourself and start all over again. Is it going to be easy? No, of course it's not. Except again, you can reinvent yourself, right? And so tell me a little bit more about that. And when you refer to like having a supportive environment, what does that mean?
Yeah, so basically positive influence, right? So some people, when they're going through stuff, sometimes they got caught up with people who's maybe, using substances, or maybe they
Mm,
going into the bad companionship, going into the bad, then they are actually, it's more difficult for them to reinvent themselves, right? But if they set kind of boundaries, if they put themselves in a bubble while they are reinvent themselves, or choosing people who has good influence, I always encourage people to network. I always encourage people to connect with others because, whenever you pray for something, it's coming through people. So basically, to connect with good people, connect with people who you feel like they can support you, even just, by listening to your or like being there for you, like with encouraging words, then it's better than the people who's actually pulling you down or bad influence. So that's what I mean by that.
okay, no, I love that. Tell me a bit about this humanitarian award winner. I think that's huge. Obviously the fact that you've traveled to a lot of different places, you've seen different cultures, you've seen different modalities, you've seen a lot of different things, right? And that's helped you in what you do. How did you come about being in this space of I think that's huge and I think that I want to applaud you for that to be able to get a humanitarian award. What does that bring to you like in
Yeah,
terms of joy,
so
like
so
talk about?
yeah, so that's happened actually. I think it was back in 2019, 2020, when I spent a lot of time also online doing events. I was speaking on events, again, encouraging people, giving them information about how to live more healthy, how to live a better life. That was one situation. And I also went to Nigeria, and then I also supported there. I've done some events. I was doing some events there, went to schools, brought some books there, or gave them some even how can I presentations, to the children. So basically, because of that actions I was taking, that's why I eventually received the Humanitarian Award in 2021. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. That's awesome. So your clients, do you, every client that you work with, is it a different type of program? It depends on what you're working with. Tell me a little bit about how your programs work, or when you're either coaching somebody or being a mentor to somebody. How does that work?
Yeah, so at the very beginning, many years ago, when I started to create these programs, I thought like, okay, let's do an 8 weeks program first. And then I was started to have people with, depression, and also with feeling lost, or being, after divorce or whatever. So, and then I realized that already after 30 days, they are already look different. They are brightened up, they're smiling, they already have their plans, and then they already, feeling great. And I was like, if they already good in a month's time, then I can just create a 30 days, for them. And then I also seen like what meditations I should, apply at what time frames, and then how they should go through it. So basically, I created the 30 days incubator, I also call it 30 days intensive, when basically they have a daily schedule for like different meditations every day, which also healing meditations, and while we having also a weekly session. So I meet with them once a week for a deep source memory healing, which is about like 2 hours. But meanwhile, they going through these meditation practices, and there is also a video training which called the Life Transformation System, which they watch, so they actually understand the whole process, what they're going through about ancestral healing, about vibration, energies, chakras, also about positive thinking. So basically, that video material explained them a lot of things. So we don't need to spend time on those things, when we do the session. So that's how I try to make it more effortless for them to show up, once a week, but still having a flexibility on working on themselves, basically in the background. And then I've seen it; it's really amazing results with 30 days, and I'm really happy about that. So I just kept it like that now.
Wow, okay, I love that. One question that has come to me before is I don't know how to meditate. I don't know if I'm doing this right. How does that feel like? Can you give me a little bit of insight of what is meditation, right? I mean, and is there a right or wrong way to go about it, or how do we approach meditation?
Yeah, so meditation can be hundreds of thousands of different way, right?
Hmm.
So there are the basic kind of meditation. What most people knows is that when I'm sitting still, I'm listening for my own breath, or I'm listening to the environment, or I'm just in the present moment. Basically, maybe also sensing my body organs or whatever. So being in the present moment and just tuning into the whatever it is around you. Like that's the basic meditation. Then there is certain guided meditations, and the guided meditations most of the time have some other desired results than
Hmm.
just being in the present moment. So for example, which I give to my clients is the samadhi meditation, and the samadhi meditation is the 60,000 years old ancient technique from Adiyogi Shiva. And this specific meditation is actually the one which brings you into delta brainwaves and also connect you with your unconscious, the family unconscious. So you can do a lot of things when you get into that brain waves and into that state. And by that, then you can go forward and do the healings. You can go forward meeting ascended masters, your spirit guides, or do other things when you are in that state. So basically reaching your multidimensional existence. So that's a very special meditation. And there are other kinds of meditations. I also do some short meditations for grounding, or short meditation for just opening your third eye, or so on and so forth. But basically, or protection meditation to create like a light protection for yourself. But the samadhi is which really, like, just doing that meditation is even changing the chemicals in your brain. So by activating the pineal gland, you start to produce more melatonin, serotonin, oxytocin, growth hormone. So just practicing this meditation is gonna bring you more focus, better sleep, a better mood, and even you become a more loving person. And
Hmm.
then you also going to feel much younger, more vital, and look younger. So this is really great meditation. And I had clients who just done the meditations. They didn't even do any sessions with me, and they already reported me back that their family members said that, oh, you are much kinder person. No, what happened to you? you
Wow,
know
yeah.
so if someone is having, for example, anger issues, I don't want you to say like, oh, this is just who I am, I'm this kind of angry person. No, everybody can, release that anger and become a kinder and better person, and actually build better relationships and success.
Yeah, no, I love that. Yeah, I definitely believe that we will have we can always choose something different. It's just a matter, like you said, having the right tools to help you with that. And I'm glad that you're doing that. You also have that ability to help people. And you're helping people all over the world, or you're specified in
Yes.
any particular
Yes.
area.
Yeah, so I had clients from Malaysia, from Mauritius, Africa. I also had European clients, but mostly it's Canadian and Americans actually.
Okay,
Most of my
yeah,
clients is Canadian Americans, and a couple of UK, couple
yeah.
from UK.
Got you, got you. So if people wanted to connect with you, find out more about the things you have going on, where can they find you and connect with you?
So I have a website, which is my name, edithbkis.com, and they can find all my socials from there. And then mostly I post on Instagram if something is going on, I have a live event, or I'm
Hmm.
doing something special, or giveaways or whatever. So it's in my Instagram where I'm the most active. I'm also having a school community. So
Okay.
school community is skool.com.
Mhm.
There are many communities there. I have my own community, which is called Release with Ease. And if someone joins that community, there is already a meditation library there for them. They can
Mm.
start these meditations. And there are also live events twice a month where they can even tune in and experience some practices with me, and even ask me questions, connect with me. And it's a community, so you can post there, you can interact with other people. So it's a great space to start your healing journey.
Yeah, I love that. Edith, what are some of the things that you do on a daily basis, right, for you to kind of get you up and going? Do you have any daily habits, any rituals, anything that you do on a day-to-day basis to kind of get you up and going and get you in this positive state of mind.
Yeah, so I start my mornings with the meditation. I usually do the samadhi meditation or any other like ancestral healing meditations or karmic depth release meditations from my library. And then I continue with a great nutritional breakfast. That's like my non-negotiable thing, you know. So basically, how I eat my breakfast, I use spirulina powder in it. I use chia seeds, flax seeds.
Mm.
I use like honey and basically some granolas and then nuts and banana and almond milk. So I have a strict diet actually. I don't eat gluten, I don't eat dairy products, and
Okay.
no caffeine, no alcohol, and no processed sugar.
Mm.
These things actually affecting all your also your mental health. I heard studies that they realize that autistic people, for example, are much more calmer if they don't eat gluten. I also
Mm.
heard from people who were in depression that when they cut the dairy products, they felt much better. You know, so these products can actually, if you feel like you wanna try, you know, you want to experiment with your own, you know, a body and then mental health, you can cut off certain these products from your diet and then see how it works with your symptoms. So yeah, so that's my breakfast.
Yeah.
And then basically I try to spend some time with my children. My daughter is homeschooled, so she's not in public school, not in
Yeah.
school system. So I spend time with her. I also, you know, do my social media post during the day, and I do some exercise. I love doing exercise with some ropes. You know, I like to
Hmm.
the gum ropes. You know, the
Yeah.
plastic ropes I use, and then I do also some other exercises at home, or I go jogging. You know, in UK in the winter is for me it's too cold to jog outside, so I
Right.
wait for the like it's like 15 degrees or you know or warmer, then I can go outside because I love jogging outside in the park. We have a beautiful park nearby. But like in the winter times, I exercise inside and I love dancing. And then when I dance, I actually use it also to connect with the universe. You know, like I
Mm.
like to dance it for certain music and then embody the connection with the divine, you know, and higher dimension. And that's how I dance.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I love the fact that you have a discipline, or at least you have something going on every day to kind of get you up and going. And I believe that we all have should strive to get something and or do something, right? So no, that's good. I have a last couple of questions for you. You've given us a lot of great tools, a lot of great what I call them golden nuggets for the people that are listening to us right now and are watching us. If they're going through any challenge, whatever challenge that might be, what is one thing or a few things they can start doing right now to start overcoming that challenge?
Yeah, so first they need clarity. So they need to gain clarity, not just what is going on in their life about that, like not just having the awareness about their own misery, but also to see like where am I heading, or do I see any like future plans, you know, or do you have a vision? So, or what do you want in life? Because I know sometimes people can't even get there because they are so consumed with their present and they just feel lost and then just say, okay, I don't like where I am right now, but I don't know where I can go forward, you know, or what is should be my next step. That's also the meditation is a very good thing, the samadhi meditation, because as soon as you start practicing that, you're opening your third eye and the vision's gonna flood in. So you're gonna have much more clarity to know where you want to go next. Clarity is really important. And then when you get to clarity, you need to also look at your hobbies, you know, and habits. Like, okay, what kind of habits are supporting that path or that way of where I'm heading, or what kind of habits I'm having, which is actually holding me back. So then shifting those habits in your everyday life, it's important as well. And when you have like triggers or when you feel like you are reacting too often, you know, you're having some emotional imbalances, you are riding an emotional roller coasters, then that's when you need to actually really consider to have sessions and releases properly.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. No, this is great. Indeed, I want to say thank you for being here. I really appreciate the time and all of the great tools and ideas you guys given us. Anything else you want to say before I let you go?
I'm just very positive about this year. I know it didn't start well for everyone. It's
Yeah.
probably because the higher fire horse was too fiery, and
Yeah.
then some people got caught up on that. So I just recommend people to go through this year with more awareness about their body. You know, when you feel that you are overwhelmed, take time to rest. You know,
Mm.
to take time to rest is, you don't need to feel guilty or ashamed about it, that you don't do something for like a couple of hours or for a day. You need to rest and recuperate, to reflect and adjust, so you can actually move forward on a better path, so it's all. And then when you are actually have time just to be, that's when again coming the good ideas. If you always in the doing and doing and doing, you don't leave space for better ideas or for adjusting the things. So I just recommend that, even though it's a fiery time, even though there's lots of energy out there and everybody feel great and just want to move forward, you still need to take some time to make sure that you are not off the track, or you are actually on the fastest, line, and then
Yeah.
just reflect.
I love that. Well, thank you again, Edith, for being here. Really appreciate you, everything you had to share, and I love that. I love those last minute tools and ideas you've given us. So thank you again for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, definitely. And for the rest of you guys, do me a favor. Go ahead and go and connect with Edith. Go to her social media. Go ahead and get her books. Go to her website. Do all of that. Connect with her. And also do me a favor. Make sure that you share this message with somebody else, because I know somebody needs it. And I'll see you guys at the next episode of You Can Overcome Anything podcast show. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cesar Espino, real estate investor, business coach, and consultant, and author of the book, You Can Overcome Anything, Even When the World Says No. My number is 424-501-6046. In my book, I talk about making the necessary changes to shift your mind for prosperity and certainty. Pick up your copy at Amazon. I also love helping families with their real estate and can purchase your house fast and all cash. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. My number is 424-501-6046.
Thank you for having me today. I am so glad you've tuned into this podcast. You can find me at your favorite podcast platform, where you can like, subscribe, comment, and share. And to learn more about myself, my services, you can find me at www.CesarRespino.com, or you can also find me at your social media. Thanks for joining me, and I am looking forward to having you at the next episode. And know you truly can overcome anything.